Return of the Monk. Monk mode is back, guys. First popularized by early 2000s tech founders to describe the act of completely disconnecting from the outside world and focusing solely on oneself, monk mode may be just what post-pandemic quiet quitting slackers need to get their lives back on track on their own terms, not the boss's. One famous founder known to go monk mode is Steve Jobs, who took a break from his work at Apple to travel to India and explore spirituality. Another well-known figure who has gone monk mode is actor Russell Brand, who has spoken openly about his experiences with meditation and mindfulness. These individuals serve as examples of the benefits that can come from taking time to disconnect and focus on personal growth. But monk mode doesn't have to be an exotic retreat. It can be a monastic staycation too. And guys, at the end of this video, we're going to reveal how the real monk can pack up his entire monastery and carry it with him wherever he goes. But before you become the master, you gotta be a novice, and that means preparing for your journey up Monk Mountain. Let's get packing, preparing to go monk mode. First, and this is crucial folks, you gotta figure out your goals. You're going monk mode for yourself, not because some influencer told you to. At least that's how you have to approach it if you want it to work. This is the hardest part, but if you get it right, it will vastly increase your chances of success. Goals that are genuinely meaningful to you are going to beat goals some authority figure sets you every time, especially when the going gets tough. Because there are no grades in monk mode, no one is going to give you a gold star or a slap on the wrist if you drop the ball. You have to own it, and that starts with owning the goals. Once you've identified some real goals, it's important to break them down into smaller, more manageable tasks. This will help you stay focused and motivated. The whole point of monk mode is that it's limited in time, so your goals need to be bounded too. Remember, success isn't just about reaching the finish line, but also about the journey along the way. So take the time to celebrate your accomplishments, monkishly, with good dopamine, not psychic junk food, as we'll explain in a minute. Learn from your mistakes instead of falling off the wagon, and keep pushing forward. Once your goals are clear, it's time to determine how long you will do monk mode. Know yourself and your motivational style on this. Success breeds success, so if you tend to set pie-in-the-sky goals and then miss them by a mile, start small. Instead of setting a low bar, see a one-day monk mode as a challenge to go intensive rather than extensive. Just like a backyard garden, every inch of which is carefully tended, will produce many times more food per square foot than a huge factory farm field, a small, intensely cultivated stretch of time can yield big results that motivate you to extend a monkish day into a week-long staycation Zen retreat, a month, or even a quarter until you start to get diminishing returns, because eventually you will. Monk mode is a tool, not an end in itself, unless you actually want to become a monk. So keep the end in mind and size the tool effectively for the job and for your own psychology. Once you have determined the length of your monk mode, it's important to establish a clear plan for how you will spend that time. This means setting specific goals and objectives that align with your overall purpose for entering monk mode. Whether you're looking to increase productivity, improve focus, or simply take a break from the distractions of daily life, having a clear plan in place will help you stay on track and make the most of your time. Remember, monk mode isn't about isolating yourself from the world, but rather about creating a focused and intentional space for personal growth and development. So be sure to approach your time in monk mode with a sense of purpose and direction, and you'll be amazed at what you can achieve. Ideas for implementing monk mode in 2023. Which practices you do and what you choose to cut out during monk mode depends on your situation, your goals, and your main vices and distractions. Start by listing the latter. Be ruthless, specific, and as comprehensive as possible. Realize that most things you do are not all bad or all good. One of the challenges of the internet is that it's so hard to tell what's productive and what's not. While binging Netflix and doom-scrolling Instagram are pretty obviously a waste of time, going down an online research rabbit hole can add value and use your intellect more than your mammal and reptile brains, but might feel just as compulsive and distract you from your true priorities just as effectively. Keeping sight of what's really a distraction and what's really a priority takes mental clarity, and so one thing you almost always want to cut out of monk mode is alcohol. While it may seem like a social lubricant that helps you get more value out of networking events, the edge it takes off your cognition and willpower are rarely worth it. Maybe you're the one in a million who can be the drunken kung fu master, but booze during monk mode for most mortals is like starting a marathon with a weight tied to your ankles. Another idea is sexual abstinence, but this is most relevant if you use sex as a way to distract yourself or escape from reality. By taking a break from sexual activity, you can focus on other areas of your life that need attention. On the other hand, sex that connects you with a partner can release endorphins and boost self-esteem, as well as dimming down the background itch of sexual urges that may distract you during the day. Radically limiting screen time is another monk move that has to be weighted against the benefits or necessity of our screens. Deep focus comes best to some of us on paper or on a big whiteboard, but once the creative ideation work is done, most of us need to return to our screens to execute on it. The key is to set clear intentions and build in guardrails around your screen time. Less is more when it comes to building your digital monastery. Apps like Minimalist Phone can slash unproductive screen time with stripped-down layout that removes all the colorful candy pills served up by predatory UX design, forcing you to type in the names of the apps you want and nudging you out of those you said you want to spend less time in. For some, on-screen timers, strategic limiting of tabs, and use of full screen mode can put just enough friction into wandering over to that social media or email tab to quiet those little itches programmed into our brains by the dopamine rat training of surveillance capitalism and its predatory UX designs. Controlling your physical environment follows the same principles as your digital monastery. But while monkish screen time management is largely about cutting things out, physical monk mode involves both subtraction and addition. You remove physical sources of cheap dopamine from the environment. Junk food, the TV remote, etc. can be buried deep in cabinets and drawers. To fill the sensory-seeking void you normally fill with these literal or metaphorical empty calories, you need to add genuine neurological nourishment that's low friction and accessible in those impulsive moments you normally reach for junk. Think superfood snacks that require no prep. Bag of Costco nuts, anyone? Snackable exercise like a pair of dumbbells or a pull-up bar right by your workspace. Sleep lubricants like herbal tea and a pile of boring print reading by your bedside. Spending time in nature and allowing yourself empty time to think. Finally, as all these examples have hinted, monk mode is most likely to succeed if you don't rely solely on brute force willpower. Instead, focus on building stronger habits through setting up supportive environmental parameters. Monks hang out in monasteries for a reason, guys. The ancients knew humans were weak, so they invented these elaborate monastic environments not to magically make men into supermen, but to compensate for the fact that, guess what, we are always going to be mere mortals. How can we understand the power of environmental parameters, which eventually get internalized as habits, so you can carry the monastery around with you? Think of this exercise metaphor. Instead of lifting with your arms, your weak, recently evolved forebrain, aka what rationality tells you should do, lift with your quads, the much stronger muscles of habits. Inc. magazine started a recent article on monk mode with the suggestion that fall may be an ideal time of year for a monk mode because, thanks to at least a decade of training as kids, most of us still have a gut sense that the back-to-school month is a time for fresh starts. That shouldn't stop you from doing monk mode any time of year, though. In fact, the edge monk mode has over something like a New Year's resolution is it's designed to be implemented fairly frequently over short, intense bursts. That means if you've got your monk bag packed with clear goals and a brutally honest understanding of what prevents you from achieving them, then there's no excuse not to take the first step up Monk Mountain right now.